Welcome to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron, joined here by Campo and Morty. No Tony today. How are we doing today, lads?
Perfect.
I am brilliant.
Well, recording on the day after Liverpool's made the Champions League final. City crashed out this morning. Morty, thoughts on the Champions League final coming up? Predictions? Do you think you're gonna win, or you think it's gonna be closer, or what?
See, I'm in two minds because the majority have shown they can play football, but they've shown they can play football for about 20 minutes a game, and the other half of it, they just, I don't know, they've looked very shaky and they've looked very out of it. But again, they've shown they can just keep scoring goals and they will find a way no matter what, and should be in for a good game. I think it'll be a lot better final to watch than the last time we played them in the final. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be a better game as well than you versus City, in my opinion. I think Real Madrid, Benzema in the final. I mean, and it's the revenge factor. You guys played them a few years ago as well, so should be an exciting one. Two of yous are happy. I'm not as happy. Talking Premier League, that's for sure. Both wins for you guys, none for me. But we'll kick off with that Liverpool game, Morty. 1-0 over Newcastle. It wasn't easy. Naby Keita with the only goal of the game. What were your thoughts on this one?
You could see from the get-go, we've all eyes on the second leg on Wednesday morning for us. Our team list, you know, it was what it was. They weren't out there to score 7 goals. They were just playing as were. But yeah, Liverpool are just showing again. They keep going through, and when we do need players to step up, they step up, and they're happy doing their role. And can't complain. Diaz is just the man's honestly done us wonders. I think Jota's kind of fallen back behind him, and Mane's coming to his own when he kind of goes into that centre forward role. Not in this game here, but yeah, I think Diaz is one for the future, and he'll be right up there next season, aiming up with Salah with those goals.
Two big absentees from the starting lineup. Obviously, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, and Salah both getting rested. Trent coming on. You could argue that Fabinho and Thiago obviously are missing from the starting lineup too. It's interesting, though, given the fact that you are in a massive title race. So to put all eyes on that Champions League semi-final was, for me, interesting. But look, you got the job done in the end. It wasn't, 1-0 is 1-0. You're still 3 points at the end of the day. Campo, what were your thoughts on the absentees, I suppose?
I hope they do it this weekend, I'll tell you that much.
I don't think they will.
They got to have one eye on
that. Out we win, mate. Don't worry.
No chance. I'm hoping that they got that one eye on the final. Just, we'll try and rest Salah again because he's looking a bit underdone.
Almost a month away.
There's plenty of time. Salah can come out, score 5, and go back to sleep for the next 3 weeks, and he'll be right.
Yeah, but there's no point in risking an injury, in my opinion. You've just played a tough tie. You don't want to risk Salah. He's been looking underdone, and he'll get snapped by Romero, broken leg, final.
He's on a stake.
Well, unlike Tottenham, we're actually battling for another 3 trophies this season. So that's already one more than you've got. And,
that's all right.
There's okay. 3 more to go.
I don't expect much. That's just what I've learned. But comfortable for Liverpool. They dominated the whole game. Boring from Newcastle. Didn't really try and get out of their own half. Just they're happy where they are, and they're just looking to reinvest in the summer, I think.
Yep. Well, 3 points at 3 points for Liverpool, and they, at this stage, had to put the pressure on City and went top momentarily. Before we get into that game, though, it's Watford 1, Burnley 2. Burnley continues that rise, don't they? Without Sean Dyche, Michael Jackson at the helm. They're doing it, aren't they? Are they going to do the Great Escape? You both hate to see it. I personally, don't really want to see it either, to be honest, because nobody likes Burnley. Is it going to happen, though, Morty? What do you reckon?
I don't hate Burnley. I hate Sean Dyche, and he lost Burnley, so we had to. He's got the same squad, and they're playing some sort of attacking football. Like, when I sit there and say Sean Dyche kept him, he got him to Europe 1 year, but Tottenham got to a final 1 year too. It's like shit happens, but we're starting early with the hate. Don't worry. But yeah, Burnley, they're getting through it. They're pushing on. I think up until this week, they were benefiting from the fact that Everton were just continually losing too, and they were driving. They had that. I think it was a draw that sort of set them in motion, and they had another win. Everton lost, and they're just edging closer and closer to it. So it's gonna be tight. I think it's going to be just as tight at the top and at the bottom this season, and good to see. There's races all over the table.
Yeah, well, their run is not too bad, and we'll obviously get into that in probably a future episode in the preview, for example. But yeah, Michael Jackson started off with 1 draw and then 3 wins on the trot since then. Campo, what are your thoughts? Are they going to stay up? I mean, this win against Watford, Watford are as good as done. So how big of a win is it?
I've always wanted Burnley to stay up. I prefer them than Everton. You need some teams in there that just have grit. Don't offer much, but just shit house. It's just good to see sometimes, unless you're playing them. But yeah, I was just impressed. They go down 1-0. Fair enough. This is the first time I think they've actually showed grit, determination to fight back from 1-0 down and overcome it in the later stages of the game. So props to them. I'm hoping they stay up, and I'm hoping Everton go down because it'll just be memes, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on there. I mean, it is good to see a team like that in the Premier League, but I mean, when your team does play them, they make it very hard for you. 10 behind the ball, 11 behind the ball for 90 minutes. It's not pretty football. But yeah, they're looking good right now. I think out of those 3, your Leeds and your Everton as well, I'd be saying Leeds at this stage just because I think they're running the most difficult. But again, we'll get into those in future games. We got Southampton taking on Crystal Palace. 2-1 to Palace. Is this just an expected result from a Palace team who you could say has underperformed all season, considering the football they've played? What do you reckon, Campo?
I wouldn't say they've underachieved because I don't think anyone really had them, pushing that top half of the table. I didn't personally. But again, it's just a hot and cold team. This game, they were hot. Saved it till late. It's good to see Eze back in the team, back scoring. So good for them. But I think it's just an up and down season for them. Today they'll up. Next week they'll be down.
Yeah, well, I think before the season started, they were being one of the bookies tipped them for relegation. So I think they've definitely exceeded that. But I'm just talking based on the football they've played, the way they kind of started the season, everybody was talking around them. They probably should have a lot more points on the board than what they do. Morty, Southampton, are they lucky that this bad spell didn't happen earlier? Because they're only 6 points ahead of the likes of Burnley, Leeds, 8 points of Everton. Are they just lucky that they should be safe at this point?
Oh, we were 8 games in, and Southampton were 6 games unbeaten, but they're all draws. I asked where the points were coming from, and they never came. And I mean, their results speak for themselves. They're down there. They're not even amongst it. I mean,
well, they were for a while. They were sitting in 9th, and they were that one team outside of Europe. But then all of a sudden, the massive slumps happened.
Yeah, but that's when there's points going around and people taking points off each other at the start of the season. It's not really that much of an accomplishment to be getting the draws. It's like Burnley. Burnley weren't anywhere near it. They had all the draws in the bag. They had 1 win. I think Norwich got to 2 wins before Burnley did at that point. But that's what I'm like. They can't keep drawing the whole season. Yes, they're playing some better football. Yes, they took points off City. But is that really an accomplishment when you look at the rest of the season and you go, well, they still finished outside the top 10. They did nothing again. They go cycle through. Who do they bring into the club? It's just kind of a nothing season again from them. And yeah.
Yeah, look, they've made some good recruits. I think Livramento doing his ACL doesn't help, that's for sure, because he's been one of their better players. Menno Brozier as well. Probably he started quite well, but has kind of fallen off a little bit there. But, I mean, they need players to build around Ward-Prowse because he loves the club, clearly. He signed a new deal.
He deserves a better club.
Is he going to – that's what I mean. Is he going to stay? If a United, for example, comes after him, because he's good enough, he can play in any midfield in the Prem, in my opinion. Why would he stay at Southampton? I mean, the loyalty factor is massive, but Southampton should be building. I think they've got a good coach. I'm not saying Ralph should be getting sacked anytime soon, but they need to start building a team that can kind of challenge the likes of, I don't know, Wolves, Brighton, Newcastle, for example. I mean, the money is not really there, but they've got to start challenging those teams outside the 6. I think. What do you think, Campo?
Campo.
No, he's vanished.
While he's missing, just on Palace, I think they've done well from what we thought they were going to do. Obviously, I think I had them in the bottom 3 going down, and Vieira's done wonders with that squad, and you love to see it. And I think the only thing they've been missing is some squad depth, because they've played the same way every game, but they're just like, when Gallagher's wasn't there, they weren't getting points on the board. Like, they're missing some of those squad rotation players that can still do the same sort of job and get some points in the park when they do have injuries. Like, they've been missing Eze, and they haven't had anyone to play how Eze's been playing. Like, they're missing that sort of stuff, and I think it's been done well to be where they are.
Well, you mentioned Conor Gallagher. They're not going to keep him. It looks as though Chelsea are going to have him back. They're not going to be able to afford whatever Chelsea want for him. So they're going to need to recruit someone who can step up and be that player. You mentioned Eze, and players like him, he's been brilliant. Elise as well, he's been great. Zaha, obviously, he's very up and down. He has a great couple of games and he falls off. He's never really just had an amazing season in a whole, has he? And for him being their star player, he needs to produce more, I think. Because, I mean, his goal tally's not great. His assist tally's not great, but he is magic at the end of the day. So he needs to kind of add to that, I think. Campo, we're just on that game, obviously cut out for a second there. It looks like you're back. What are your thoughts?
Technical difficulties. Just Southampton, I was going to say, am I muted?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Southampton do need to build around James Ward-Prowse. Their team is not that good. I tipped them at the start of the season to go down, I don't know if you'll remember. And they're only 6 points above that, realistically. Everyone laughed at me when I predicted that at the start of the season, that I'm off my head. But they're not that far off it. So if they're not going to strengthen, James Ward-Prowse needs a new club, because as good as Ralphie is as a manager, he can't keep affording having his team go backwards.
Yeah, I mean, and he has suffered a few huge defeats. I mean, and it's not gonna bode well when you look back at, like, when he sits in the boardroom and they say, well, what have you actually done to move the club forward? And he's gonna say, oh well, just don't look at
9-1.
Yeah, like, so, but I don't know. Do you see Ward-Prowse staying? Do you think the club will come in for him? I mean, the World Cup's coming up soon, so if he's in that squad and he has an amazing World Cup, he could be gone after, December, late January, whatever it is.
I see him staying another year because he signed a monster deal. And Southampton are just going to ask stupid prices for him. So I think if they're not going to reinvest and they start falling backwards into the relegation next season, then that's when I think he'll jump.
All right. Well, speaking of investing, we've got Villa taking on Norwich. I mean, Villa have strengthened pretty well under Gerrard. You've seen it. Coutinho's there. 2-0 win, comfortable over Norwich. This officially relegated Norwich, which was, it was done from the first game of the season, really. Again, do you think Villa has underperformed? I think I was chatting to maybe just Tony, or could have been Morty, about Gerrard. Has he been good enough since he's been there? He started quite well, but then he's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit as well. So in terms of their season, Campo, how have they performed?
Better than I thought. But I tipped Villa to go down with Dean Smith at the helm all season. But again, yeah, as you said, Gerrard came in like a house on fire. Coutinho, his name was everywhere. They've just fallen off. I don't know if that's just them securing that they're in the Prem again, and they're not really pushing to make top half. I don't know, but they got 3 points here, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, well, they're on the same points as Southampton on 40, but they do have a game in hand. So, I mean, give or take, they get a point or whatever there. That should be enough. I'm not saying they're going down, but I think it's been a little bit underwhelming recently in the last few weeks. I think they lost 3 in a row at one point, maybe 4. But yeah, they could just be building, getting ready for next season, trying new things, and know that, I mean, they're not as bad as Norwich, Watford, or Burnley, Leeds, or Everton. So they'll probably take that into the next season. Hopefully they can sign Coutinho on a proper transfer. And then, yeah, Gerrard should hopefully get a full pre-season. Well, yeah, full pre-season, under his belt, and then carry on with them. What do you reckon, Morty?
They've actually got 2 games in hand, and
2?
Yeah. And if they get the points from that, they'll be the top half of the table.
Well, there you go.
Like, yes, his performances haven't been great. He's kind of had spells of wins, and then he goes into a slump of losses. He's not really, it's kind of like a yo-yo, all the way up and then all the way down. But from where he took over, I mean, Villa were going down. They were right amongst it. They were looking like nothing's turning them around. So I think he's done well to turn it around. Yes, he could have had some better, more consistent performances. Maybe not so thing like he's had some like 3-0 losses when really they could have scrapped together a 1-1 if they just did a few things different. But I think he's done well from where they are. He needs to build from what he wants. Like he's brought in some, but mid-season transfers you can only get so much. You need some sort of squad players to do a job for him, and I think it'll be wait and see. I mean, Klopp's just extended, so I think he's just biding his time for a few more years and getting himself set up for that expectation that's going to be for whoever actually takes over Klopp, because he's going to need to be ready for it. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like set up perfectly that he does take over from Klopp. But I mean, if he doesn't perform well enough at Villa, he could be going and getting sacked from there, and then he's without a club for a couple of years while Klopp's still winning trophies after trophies. So he's still got what did Klopp sign until 2025 or 26?
26, I'm pretty sure it was.
He's still got a number of years before then. So he needs to transform Villa into that club that's outside your six, your Leicester's really, and pushing for European football, in my opinion. I want to speak of Coutinho. He started very bright, just like Gerrard did with them. He's kind of fallen off a little bit, has he not? He's not really done much recently. Is that a worry for Villa? Is that kind of thinking, why was he so crash hot and now he's just kind of stagnated? Is that his Barcelona form coming back to bite him?
I think I might deteriorate, turn him off that 40 million asking price. Because at the start, everyone's saying that's a bargain. But if you're going to get games where he's absolutely not involved at all, I think they would be a little bit worried. But wait and see.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think the fact that Gerrard's there, he'll be pushing to keep him. And I think 40 million, it's a lot of money, but I don't know, it doesn't scream. It's not, it's not 70, 80 million like United pay for Maguire, I suppose. So it does sound
for Lukaku.
Yeah, very true. All right, Wolves v Brighton. This could be one of the surprise results of the round, especially the scoreline, that's for sure. 3-0 away from home. I think there was a time where Brighton kind of fell off again, but I mean they're kind of back and they're pushing. They're not going to get European football. They're going to just miss out, I think. But overall, a massive season for Graham Potter and the Seagulls. I'm pretty sure they're called. Campo, thoughts?
Yeah, very impressive season so far. But again, the team, Graham Potter just has a very nice system in place at that club. And again, if Graham Potter's at a bigger club with those systems, with actual backing, he could do magic, in my opinion. But again, I think we're coming to the silly point of the season where upsets happen all the time. So I think this was just one of those weird results that we tend to see at this time of the season. But Wolves have probably just kicked themselves out of European contention as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say these results do happen, but they usually happen to the teams that are kind of not playing for anything. Wolves they are still playing for European football. They're only 3 points behind West Ham. They have a game in hand, so had they have won this, they could be above them right now. And I mean, West Ham are probably throwing their eggs in the Europa League basket. But if they go on and get knocked out there or lose in the final or whatever it is, then Wolves can jump them, and then that's a successful season for Wolves and a pretty poor season. Well, not poor for West Ham, but underwhelming given where they were sitting at the time. So Wolves, I think, they'll be kicking themselves for sure. But Brighton, take nothing away from them. They've been great when they're on this season. What do you reckon, Campo? Sorry, Morty, you've already gone.
Yeah, no, well, they're right next to on the ladder. I mean, it's not as big of an upset as we all think it is, because Brighton have shown that they can pull off these performances, and that they have done. They've done remarkable from what we thought. They sold players. They signed absolutely no one, and they're still there or thereabouts. And Wolves continue to be that club where you look at them and go, I'm tipping them this week, and almost like they can beat anyone every week, and they never do. And you go back and look at them, they're mid-table, and they're just almost there or thereabouts. And I don't know what it is about them, but they just, I don't know. You look back at them, you're disappointed in how they played, and then they come out with some other shock performance again later on. And I think mid-table clubs, it's just what you get from them. And I don't know how else to explain them, because they're right next to each other. That is what it is.
All right, well, let's speak about top of the table clubs then. City 4-0 over Leeds, put yous back into second. I mean, it's expected, is it not?
And when we keep playing the game beforehand, I mean, yes, you can say put it back to second, but we're always
I'll say it every time it happens.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's only 4, to be honest. So, fair play to them. Continue on, and obviously, whatever they didn't concentrate on this game didn't work in the Champions League. So,
Campo, thoughts?
Training run. It's just typical City, typical Leeds. The one thing I'm a bit weirded out by was that Cancelo did the Steven Gerrard, and somehow Rodrigo gets pushed out wide when there is no one near him. He could have run straight directly at Edison and had a one-on-one, but somehow he gets dragged out wide and puts a horrendous cross. I just don't understand how a professional footballer can mess that up that bad. But they're in that position because of how poor they've been this season, and it's just laughable sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jesse Marsch now at Leeds, it was looking good for a little bit there with him at the helm. But then all of a sudden now they're probably like I said, the team to go down at this stage. Looking at their run-ins, probably worse than Everton's. Currently, they've played a game more than Everton. So what's gone wrong? Should Jesse Marsch go and get the sack if they get relegated, or they stick by him, give him a season in the Championship to get him back up, or Leeds are a massive club in the grand scheme of things. So for them to go down again now when they should have really just been going up, I mean, it's pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so close down there. You don't know what's going to happen. I think we got to start looking at who plays who and where the points are going to come from, because like of their last 5 games, they've done okay. 2 draws, 2 wins, 1 loss. So they've been grabbing points where they can. I think it's more down to the fact Burnley have just started winning. I think Leeds kind of were a bit complacent, and then they've gone on, and I still think Everton will be the ones to fall, though. I really do. We'll get into them how they played the next game, but
we'll get into their result. But
there's some other losses they're going to fall out from that game too. So I think Everton are the ones that to fall.
Yeah, I think that relegation fight could literally change week in, week out. It could be a new team in the 18th spot. On City, for example, though. I mean, it's not a good thing, but they can just focus on Premier League now. They're out of the Champions League. That's the one they wanted, though. They wanted the Champions League. I don't think if they went and won the Champions League final but lost the Prem to Liverpool, I think that's still a great season for them. Because maybe not given they were however many points clear, but that's the one they need, they want. Same as PSG, that's the one they're kind of dying for. But they can now just focus on the Premier League. But this City side, they do have a slip up in them. And you saw they fell apart against Madrid. Premier League's a different story, possibly, but I don't know. Liverpool's looking the better team now, and it pains me to say that, but I mean, City, they go and trounce Leeds 4-0. Whoever they got next week, they probably go and do them 5-0 because Pep's probably pissed off. But they got Newcastle at home, so that could be an interesting one. But on Tottenham now, Campo, 3-1 over Leicester. I mean, top 4, it's heating up as well, isn't it? I mean, even third spot, which we'll get into again, is on the line.
Keeps things interesting. Son and Kane's, they just love to find each other. Best duo in Premier League history. It's facts now. But again, the moment that we took Lucas Moore off at halftime, brought on Kulusevski, and he changed the game completely. Busted them wide open a few times. That lovely through ball to Son, turns, finishes, and then cuts it back. Absolute worldie from Son. Just our front 3 again, all delivering. And when they're on form, they're very hard to compete with.
Yeah. Well, it makes you wonder then why you guys are slipping up here and there, like going for a loss, a draw in there. What's going on?
Leicester like to attack, and we're a very good counter-attacking team. We're good at fast counters, and if a team's just pretty much going to sit back a lot, a very compact defense, we struggle to get our through balls through and break the line. It's just what it is.
I mean, this Leicester team, they are playing for nothing in the Premier League. They're too far away from European football. They are in a Conference League semi-final where they're narrowly trailed to Roma. So it's still on there. They could potentially go and get Europa League football if they go and win the final. But yeah, it's a good win for you guys. It's a bounce back win after a couple average results. 2 points behind Arsenal in fourth, only 5 behind Chelsea in third. I don't think you will get third, but I mean, Arsenal could pick up after that and you could still get. It's a tough one. It's really tough to say. But the North London derby is coming up in a week or two. It's huge. That could probably define the top four.
I think this week defines it.
This week.
Because if we don't beat Liverpool and Arsenal beat Leeds, and we're 4 points behind or 5 points behind, and then if we beat them, we're only 2 points behind. So looks like we're slapping up Liverpool.
Morty, short then on Tottenham versus Leicester then?
Tottenham are really good at their one play, and they execute well when the teams need to beat Tottenham. I think when the teams need to take the game to Tottenham and they need something out of it, Tottenham will win. But as soon as Tottenham come up against a team that goes, I don't care, come on attack us, I'm happy with my 1 point, they struggle. And they've shown that they struggle, they push forward, they change their system, and then they get done on a scrap goal or a counter. Like Tottenham will never get battered. Like they haven't been battered all season. They've just kind of lost 1-0 or had those stupid losses that we all love to see. And I think that's kind of their problem. Like you don't have any player that comes on and changes the way you attack. Like Kane does his thing. Like he's probably the most versatile. But Sane, Kulusevski, and what's the other one? Mora. They're all fast paced, get in behind. That's what they play to. Like there's no one that comes on and holds back with Kane or plays the ball through, plays that one striker through the middle that it gets him behind or goes to the wing. Like they all do the same thing. You bring on one that's just a bit more fresh. So I think it's probably somewhere you need to look at. But I mean, they're there or thereabouts again. Whether they can push on or not, don't know. Will they beat Liverpool this week? No. And Leicester continue to fall.
Morty, Tottenham or Arsenal? Who are you getting? Who do you think is getting Champions League football?
Well, I don't really care either way because I guarantee you, whoever gets it will still be in Europa.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to a game that blew. I mean, the top four race and the relegation race wide open. Everton 1 over Chelsea. I was never going to say it prediction-wise that Everton would win, but it's a game that you felt would happen. Lampard back against Chelsea, against the manager who basically, came in after he got sacked. Everton needed the result. It was going to happen. Aspilicueta shambles at the back. Really, he's so washed now. It's not funny, which is it really pains me to say, because he is a legend of the club. He's the captain of the club, but he is pretty washed. And defensively, we're getting caught out a little bit. We've been pretty lackluster. We've got the likes of Christensen who don't really care to play anymore. The only ones that really are wearing their heart on their sleeve are Rudiger and Thiago Silva, and one of them's going. And then one's 36.
And one of them's 36.
Yeah, so defensively, we're not as good as we were last year when we probably were the best defensive team in the world, and we're keeping clean sheets for fun, really. But yeah, Everton, they needed this result, and it's kind of again blown the relegation battle wide open because they were down and out, and now all suddenly they're probably again above Leeds in the percentage of who should go down. Chelsea, on the other hand, had we have beat United last week, this result I probably would have said, yeah, no worries, Lampard, have that. But we drew against United. We've lost here. We're only 2 points ahead of Arsenal in fourth, and then again 5 ahead of Spurs. So it's rough. But again, I kind of expected this result. Just kind of, not happy about it, but can't do much about it. Campo, did you expect it? What do you think?
I didn't expect it. I thought Chelsea would just roll on. They should have beaten United comfortably. The chances they had thought they would have rolled on to an easier team, turned up, battered them, put the top four to bed. But again, it's just a stupid result that happens at this time of the season. And I'm all for it if Chelsea keeps slipping up.
Yeah, I mean, we like you said, they put top 4 to bed. We should have, because a few games ago we only needed probably like 6 to 8 points maybe to have it wrapped up, and now all of a sudden we don't have it wrapped up. Our recent form has been terrible. Our 2 losses in our last 5, a draw in there. It's not good enough. And again, we're at risk now of completely going out of Champions League football. And I think if that happens, I mean, the Chelsea board, I wouldn't be surprised if they do sack Tuchel, although new owners coming in, fresh slate possibly. Morty, what were your thoughts on this game?
Bloody Chelsea. Why are we giving hope to Everton? But in saying that, I think you've given hope to Everton and then you screwed their chances, because good old Richarlison, being as dumb as he is, I think he might actually be banned for the rest of the season after throwing the flare into the crowd.
Yeah, what are they saying? 3 or 4 game ban possibly. So
yeah, and even I think at best he might be back for the Arsenal game, and well, I mean that's a loss, isn't it? Either way, and yeah, I think it's probably the better result for Everton. They've got no chance of scoring now, so they've got bloody no one left in attack. So Chelsea, I think, is still safe. Looking at next 4 games, they're not very hard teams, and they're not even those swing teams that are playing for anything at this point. They're kind of just going to rock up on the day and have some fun. And Chelsea, as long as they put their mind to it, should get along with it. And yes, on your defense, you've shown through some games, like you've had some players come in. You've had Chalobah. You've had who was playing for James at the time when he was out injured.
Well, Aspilicueta was Malang Sarr was playing a bit. Alonso obviously, and
like you have these young players, but then they just kind of disappear again. And like, as I know, he's your club captain and blah 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 blah. But at some times you've got to go. Well, no, we're going to throw the kid in now because you've got Thiago Silva there. You've got him there. Like you've got an aging backline. Rudiger already wanted out. Like you're going to end up almost if one injury away from Thiago Silva where he hangs up the boots, and you've got to have a whole new backline put in place basically. Like you kind of haven't blooded enough to get through. So I don't know. Hopefully, you just don't play 5 at the back anymore. Might be able to defend us. Yeah,
no, I think that 5 at the back should be gone. I think next season we lose Christensen, we lose Rudiger. It should just be whoever's going to step up and partner Thiago Silva. Like I said, he can't play every minute of every game. That's for sure. We've got a couple like Levy Colwell coming back from Huddersfield. I think he might get some game time again, like Trevor Chalobah, but hopefully with the likes of Chilwell coming back, Reece James, that's our back 4. And yeah, kind of a bit more defensively solid, but who knows? Moving into the final game of the round then, it's Arsenal's 2-1 win over West Ham. A result I expected. I thought that West Ham would kind of line up this game like they did against Chelsea, where their eggs are in the Europa League basket right now. So Arsenal probably made a bit harder work of it, in my opinion. Campo, what are your thoughts on this from a Spurs perspective?
West Ham just live to piss me off. They've been so good at set pieces all season, and they concede 2 in one game. Somehow Rob Holding gets a new hairline, and now he can score goals again. Just ridiculous. West Ham, have a hard look in the mirror and get relegated. Just shit.
Boy, yeah.
I mean, 2-1. This is what we expected, or that's what I expected from this game. West Ham is still a good squad. They've got their eyes on Europa, perfectly fine, but they're still going to try and put in a shift against an Arsenal to try and lock up that Europe for next year either way. And Arsenal, they're battling for top 4. They want that spot, and they're doing whatever they can to get there. Yes, it's not pretty. Yes, they're not beating anyone off the park, but they're there. Like last year, we were sitting there going, "Oh, we might be lucky to get top 8." They still haven't done nothing. They've wasted all this money, and now look at them. They're a quality signing away from putting some pressure on moving up into that top 3, top 2 race. So, I
mean, Arsenal's a weird one this season because they went and lost 3 in a row, and now they've back and they've won 3 in a row. They beat United, Chelsea. I mean, now West Ham. So they lost the ones that they should have won, and they've probably won the ones that could have gone either way. So had they have gone a couple of results elsewhere, they would be sitting in 3rd. But they are in good. They're in good nick. They're 2 points ahead of Spurs again with the North London derby to come. So they should be the favourites for the fourth spot, if not third. But again, if they slip up against any team like they did a few weeks ago, then Spurs could pip them. That wasn't the final game of the round, though. I forgot Man United versus Brentford. I mean, we all just have given up on United, haven't we? Tony's not here. Probably the only time we would have smiled in the past few weeks as well. But, I mean, it's 3-0. Ronaldo scored again. What else is there to say? Morty, what do you reckon?
It's just the story of United, is it not? They're just... I think they're in trouble next season either way. Like, there's so much wrong with that club right now that a new manager isn't just going to make it magically work. And they're going to have to stick strong because they can't keep sacking more. They're not going to get any better than Erik ten Hag. They're not going to find another bloke that's going to come and fix something. I don't know what's going on with the board. I don't know what's going on with the owners. They got fans that are had signs up ready to walk out that didn't even leave. Like, there's so much wrong currently there that you just look and go, well, what's going on? Because they've signed the players. They're going to lose players. I mean, yes, they're probably going to lose Pogba this season. I think it's almost guaranteed. But without him, I don't even think they win those first few matches at the start of the season. And they're in much worse shape as it was. And they're losing Lingard, Ronaldo. Don't know how much longer he can put this up. Yes, he will still find a way to score, but he's 37 now.
37.
Yeah, so like he's not a miracle man. He's going to get injured. Like they're going to have problems. Yeah.
Well,
don't know.
We don't know if he's in Ten Hag's plans. I would like to assume he is because I mean he's still putting up 18 Premier League goals a season currently at 37.
Yeah.
But I think the United players have tuned out. They're ready for a new regime. They're sick of Ralph, who really came in and did absolutely nothing compared to what Ole did. Campo, wrap us up then. What are your thoughts on the game? It's just you should expect, is it? Or
it's just good to see Varane actually doing something. He's been one of their better signings. But he's deserved a goal. I don't know if that's his first. I haven't really been paying attention to United much.
He hasn't played that much. I think it is his first.
But it's good to see that he's finally finding some form. Because I think that they're out of the top 4 race now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep building, win the rest of your games, and then have a good preseason. Come into next season, and they should not be where they are this year.
Yeah. Definitely, they should be doing better. And I think under Ten Hag, you'd like to think they will. All right, we'll be back for the preview whenever that comes out as we get into the business end of the season. A few games left. Thanks for joining me, lads, and we'll see you next time.